Vice President Biden stepping up attacks on Donald Trump's call to halt our refugee plans. This coming with the White House stepping up its efforts to keep refugees coming into America. The Fox's Jennifer Griffin with the latest. Jennifer.
Charles, well, Vice President Joe Biden never mentioned Donald Trump by name in his speech in Washington, D.C. today, but it was very clear that's who he was referring to.
There are 1.4 billion Muslims in the world. Some of the rhetoric I'm hearing sounds designed to radicalize all 1.4 billion.
It was more evidence that the Clinton campaign will be coordinating its message with the White House. Vice President Biden delivered a sternly worded speech on foreign policy and national security at a Washington think tank today in which he rebutted a Trump presidency. He responded to what Trump has said about how much he respects Vladimir Putin, Russia's strongman. He warned about the insecurity of bullies, again, never mentioning Trump by name.
Facing Putin at a time of renewed Russian aggression, I believe would call into question America's long-standing commitment to Europe, whole, free, and at peace. But neither is a time to dust off the Cold War playbook.
Meanwhile, the White House reiterated today, World Refugee Day, that they plan to admit 10,000 refugees from Iraq and Syria. Every year, the U.S. admits 70,000 refugees. The White House plans to increase that to 85,000 refugees this year, and the president plans to host a summit at the General Assembly in New York, at the UN General Assembly in September. We've just gotten word here at Clinton headquarters in Brooklyn that Hillary Clinton and her husband Bill have left the hospital with their daughter Chelsea and their new grandson Aiden just moments ago in New York. Back to you, Charles.
Yeah, we're actually looking at the video of that right now. This is the first video of the proud grandparents and the second child for Chelsea and her husband. All right, let's get reaction now from Walid Phares, one of Donald Trump's key foreign policy advisors. Walid, when Joe Biden says that someone, of course referring to Donald Trump, would like to radicalize all 1.4 billion, the suggestion is made over and over by this administration and, of course, Hillary Clinton that any effort to stop refugees from coming into this country actually creates more terrorists.
Charles, what we understand, or at least what the Vice President seems to be arguing for, is that Mr. Trump's statements basically are radicalizing 1.2 or 1.5 billion Muslims around the world. If the Vice President knows what's going on inside the Muslim world, and I'm assuming he does and he should, well, he realized that there are 57 countries with 20 conflicts, 5 raging civil wars, millions of people have been killed over the past 7 to 8 years, millions others are leaving their countries, ethnic cleansing, minorities are persecuted. They are worried about these problems. They're not worried about statements made by an American politician in the primaries. So the concern that those Muslims would have around the world would be the policies of the sitting government of the United States, of the Obama-Clinton administration over the past 8 years, including what's happening in Libya, Iraq, Syria, and the list is very long.
Waleed, would you add any credence to perhaps then those sort of statements, statements about temporary ban on all Muslims, sort of impacting or creating homegrown threats? Would that be any sort of aid to some disenfranchised Arab American kid who already had some form of resentment growing up in a household that, despite the fact that they were probably saved from a war-torn nation, they were still upset at the American people?
That's the way the opposition wants the public to think. That A.J. Harris is a normal person who overnight, after listening to a couple statements by Mr. Donald Trump, becomes a jihadist and the next day go to Orlando or to San Bernardino and kill people. This is legend. This is an urban legend. To become a jihadist, you have to be indoctrinated for months, for years in certain cases. To actually take action, some authority, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, others, online, offline, will have to validate that action. It is not a direct result of statements, otherwise the whole planet will be exploding today.
I know you were one of Donald Trump's first picks for his foreign policy team. Last week, it seemed to me that he was zeroing in on countries where we've seen threats, where we've seen massive radical, Islamic terror, war. and not necessarily a ban across the entire religion, so to speak. Is there some sort of change going on? Is he starting to morph or redefine his position here a little bit?
Absolutely. This is natural. Actually, in his initial statement made back in 2015, it's not the first segment that is, I would like to put a ban, but it's a second segment until we know what's going on. So the more he is educated, he gets the briefings, the more he is evolving in his thinking and getting actual information, the more he is zeroing in and zooming on the actual threat. And the actual threat are, as you just mentioned, areas where the jihadists are in control. This is where the trigger is coming from. And the second matter, which he mentioned in his speech last week, the ideology, radical Islamic terrorism that he has mentioned. Once you have those two components, then you are in business. You can do the fight and then make sure that the radicals are isolated and not the large community.
Walid Phares, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.